teacher who I'm pretty sure only hated us just so she could go back to her Amazon shopping. So there's this guy who wasn't in my class. He was just chilling, just talking with friends, and then the bell rings, and he sits down like he's part of the class. And the sub didn't even like notice. She just glanced at her seating chart like, well, game out for me. And so, you know, the new guy, he just doesn't care, and the sub goes up to him, and she's like, excuse me, sir, I need you to take a seat in the back. Whatever. Like this guy, he's literally acting like his mom told him to get a new haircut, which he so desperately needed. And so the sub goes, where are your materials? I don't have any. And so she gave him our review packet and a pencil. My teachers will give me a 20-minute lecture for not having a pencil. Excuse me, ma'am, I need to use the bathroom. Okay, so he got up and never came back. Wow, this guy's taking a bigger crap than Kim and Kanye's divorce. 10 minutes later, my class just chatting, just chilling, and the sub goes, okay, where is he? Like all of a sudden she turned into Batman. And so as typical middle schoolers would go, we went, what? What guy? The guy who sat in the back. There were people sit in the back? I thought that was just a closet that supposedly took you Narnia was. And so eventually someone, definitely not me, eventually told her that he wasn't even in the class. And then she asked what his name was. Let me just say, he had the worst last name. His name was Colin Spanky. And then the sub goes, you guys think you're so funny! Like, you are acting like children! Because we are children! I know some of us look old enough to buy beer and get a cheap tattoo, but we are children! Let me just say, once she gave up, she went back to her computer, went on Amazon, and bought herself a mini waffle maker. Thank you guys so much! Up next, we have the lovely and hilarious Tara and Allen. Yeah!
So one year, I went to Michigan for winter break because why stay somewhere cold when you can go somewhere even colder? So this particular year, I went skiing with my family, my aunt, and then her family. And this was about 3 years ago, so I was... Anyway. So we're heading up the ski lift, right? And somehow, we didn't know that we were heading straight for a black diamond, all right? And none of this is my fault, okay? I just figured out in my head that I was 14 at the time. I couldn't read. Like, I don't understand. So we're heading up the ski lift, right? And everybody gets off. I go around another time because I forget how to get off the first time. The second time is because I thought I saw a cool tree, which turned out to be a normal tree, so that was a total waste of my time. And then the third time was because I was just having too much fun. Okay, so we finally get off, and we all walk to the edge of the hill, and I'm thinking, something feels off. And it wasn't just the laxatives I took that morning. So I look to my right. I look to my right. And I see black diamond, no way down. No, I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic. No way out, but down. And I'm just thinking, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So there's no way out of this place except for down the hill. So my sister and I head down. No, I don't head down. I head straight into a tree, okay? And my 5 years of gymnastics finally paid off because I was folded in half. And my leg was literally like this. I'm not, oh, it hurts so bad. I turn around. My sister doesn't even have her skis on. And then all of a sudden I hear from behind me. That went on for about 40 more seconds. I turn around. my 8-year-old cousin was doing the splits, moving at the speed of a tortoise down this hill. I'm like, oh God, this can't get any worse. And then my laxatives kick in. Thank you, guys. Next up, we have the woman who taught me how to do a stellar Mickey Mouse impression. Hot dog! And that is Ivy Nugent.
Hi, I brought water. Two. I got it. I'll leave that there. Hi, my name is Ivy Nugent. Yeah, there we go. I'm 18 years old, and one really well-known fact among my friends is that I'm a very big animal lover. I really love animals. I have 5 dogs, if you can believe that. And my first dog was a little white Maltese named Cornelius. And yeah, Cornelius, you can tell I didn't name him because little kids never name anything good. I wanted to name him Whitey. Fortunately for me, he was not a black lab. Otherwise, I would not make this joke. Yeah, kids never name anything good. My little brother came up with a villain that was just made of hooks, and he named it the Hooker. I had a little stuffed cat when I was little, and it was named Teat. I don't know why, but yeah, so one of my very most vivid memories that I have of Cornelius was one day I was playing with my sister. She made me so mad. I'm just kicking rocks around, just kicking it everywhere. And I kick one backwards, and all of a sudden I hear, turn around, and I see this. That's Cornelius, by the way. And my first thought is, he got hit with a rock. My second thought is, oh my God, I'm a murderer. I just killed the family dog. And my sister's coming out, and I'm freaking out because I'm still at the crime scene. And I have no time to hide the body. I gotta make it look like an accident. So I just kind of cross his arms. Lily comes out, and she's like, "Aw, he's so cute. Man, he's so still, it's like he's dead." So at this point, I'm freaking out. She clearly knows too much. I'm looking for a bigger rock. She's like, "Let's get on the trampoline." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." Let's go. We get on the trampoline. She's jumping to new heights, and I'm jumping to conclusions. I'm freaking out. I'm 6 years old. I'm like, man, I'm just gonna have to make orange work. I don't look good in orange, but it's just gonna have to happen. I'm 6 years old. I can barely write a sentence, let alone serve one. All of a sudden, I hear this noise. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's back from the dead. He's damaging me. My sins, I'm sorry. My sister's like, oh my gosh, look, I think he wants up on the trampoline. I look down and what do my wondering eyes should appear? It is Cornelius, back from the dead! Back from the gates of heaven! I'm kidding, that's not where he went. Unfortunately, 4 years later, he did end up passing away suddenly, and it was a really big shock to us all. I was in shock this time. I didn't do anything to him. It was liver failure, I think. My dad comes to my mom's apartment to break the news to us, and we're all really sad. We're just, we're shocked. And my sister uses her First Amendment right to just cry and ask what happened, and I, of course, pled the fifth. Thank you. Up next, we have the very lovely, beautiful, amazing girl. Her name, what's that?
Man.
Oh, man. Handsome man. Micah Phillips.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Micah Phillips. As you all know, we just passed a major religious holiday. So no matter what you believe in, I might just come out and say it. Happy late International Women's Day, everybody. And of course, women are great, They're like in my top 2 for favorite gender. They're amazing. there's been a lot of really impactful women throughout history. Like, you've got people like Rosa Parks, or like the Queen of England, or like the Spice Girls. These are all, yes, all great. When I think of impactful women, I think about my mom. A lot of you might know her. She owns a non-for-profit business called Close with the Cause. No, this isn't an advertisement for her. Yeah, she donates 100% of the proceeds to local charities. And if I can be completely candid with you guys, I just think it's bizarre. I think it's crazy that anyone could do that. Like, if we just took like a sliver of that, we could go on like a cruise or something. Or maybe I could get my hair cut. I'm really not sure. But really, her business is taking off. She was actually in the paper not that long ago. So for our 90 years and over community, you might have just seen her recently. But in all reality, it's hard to live up to someone who's doing something so noble. Like, I've admired her for my entire life. I just think it's amazing what she's doing. And you know the old saying, if you can't beat them, do the exact opposite of what they're doing. So I have made this decision to make the first ever 100% for-profit business. It'll still be called Close with the Cause. That cause will just happen to be for me and my family. And you can totally work for me. If you want to, you can see me after the show. It's pyramid scheme style, where you have to work unpaid for just a couple of years, but if you work just for so long and you finally start making money, then you can maybe get a free car. Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have my favorite sub-5-foot friend, Kendall Roach.
So, as aforementioned, I'm Kendall Roach, and for those of you who know me, and, well, aren't legally blind, you can probably tell that I'm shorter than the average. Because of my relative closeness to the ground, I'm often mistaken for extremely younger than I actually am. One time this happened, I was about 10 years old, participating in a young suburban girl classic, a daddy-daughter dance. My dad and I, we enter the building, heads held high, and there's a woman sitting at a table collecting tickets for a raffle. I don't even know what the prize was, but obviously I wanted to enter. So I go up, and before I can even graze the paper with my fingers, she looks at me in the eyes and says, "Oh, do you know how to write your name?" I'm 10! I am reading Magic Treehouse chapter books. I know how to write my name. Another time this happened, I was in 8th grade, about 14 years old, and my friends and I decided we want to go out for a fancy dinner. So of course we choose Red Robin. Yum. And we go in and we decide we want some delectable strawberry lemonade. And so, because Red Robin is a gourmet restaurant, they call it freckled lemonade. So we all order the freckled lemonade. And the waiter brings it to our table. He brings, 3 glasses and what looks to be a thimble full of freckled lemonade. For me. He may as well have just handed me a coloring sheet and some crayons along with it. Anyway, I'm obviously mortified. This really continued to bother me as I sat in my car seat on the way home. Thank you. Next up, you may remember him as having long hair that one time. It's Austin Rubin.
So, my name is Austin Rubin, as you may have heard, and for a while I truly enjoyed the perks of being a skinny guy. For one, I didn't have to open doors. I could just turn sideways and walk through the slits. I didn't have to buy plane tickets. I could just climb into someone's suitcase or backpack or wallet and still be light enough to fly free. And one Halloween, I actually won a costume contest award for most convincing skeleton just by taking my shirt off. I have to say there were also some pretty large fears I had. Wind, sent me to the hospital, and when I got to the hospital, they told me I would be having a colonoscopy the next day. And as part of the procedure, I had to drink 10 Powerades complemented with 12 packets of Miralax laxatives. I thought they were joking. It sounded like something out of a Would You Rather, where option 2 was like eating a bunch of bees. But nevertheless, after a long night of drinking, there was a bar on the second floor. I felt terrible. At that point, my body was 20% Powerade, 20% laxative, and 100% sure I had pooped the bed. The next day, I was violated by an old man. Then I had my colonoscopy. Really confused and out of it, but lucky for me, the sound of a 5-year-old crying very, very loud took me out of that state. And in all seriousness, though, I hope he's all right. He didn't seem to be doing very well, especially after I drop-kicked him into the ceiling. A few hours later, my doctor came in, I fully recovered, and he delivered me some pretty sad news. He said, "Austin, you need to take a shower. You smell awful." Then he told me I had Crohn's disease, and to kind of help me out, I would be on steroids for a few weeks. And initially, I expected to be able to flex nuts harder than Snoop and, have a body like The Rock, but no. I retained the body of the paper. But overall, I'm glad I'm not at such a troubling weight anymore. 102 pounds is much better. Rehearsing his routine all day in front of his favorite spot, the mirror. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Sullivan!
Jack Sullivan. I feel really bad whenever people ask me to do things because I'm just not the right guy for the job. It doesn't matter what the job is. It's one thing if someone's like, "Hey, we need you to lift a heavy thing." I'm like, "All right, these twigs, they're surprisingly resilient. We got a 50-50 chance." But if someone looks at me like, "We need you to, I don't know, divide." Well, however I meant it to be, there's no shot. If the end of the world came down to someone being like, "What's 27 divided by 3? I'm done. Transitions are hard. Have any of you ever met a child who's just so obviously a little piece of garbage? Just a little rat you want to punt into the sun? Well, that was me as a child. I subsided off of a diet of Totino's Pizza Rolls and the Disney Channel, and it bred me into a miserable little idiot. Fortunately, years have passed, I've grown up, and I have become a miserable little idiot. But now I can drive, so that's something. I've had my legal ability to drive for a while now. The question is, should I? Absolutely not! I've hit curbs, birds, trees, telephone poles, and what I thought was a paper towel, but turned out to actually be Austin Rubin. I told him I was not going to say that. No, I love my car. I drive a 2003 Honda Odyssey minivan. You're right to laugh. It's hilarious. The 2003 Honda Odyssey minivan is the best car in the entire world. Allow me to explain myself. The 2003 Honda Odyssey minivan is functionally immortal. There is no punishment that you can give that car that it cannot give back to you. My car and I would go way back. It feels like I'm driving a reanimated corpse that runs on gasoline, sex appeal, and sheer willpower. Like the now single Queen Elizabeth II, it just keeps on going. Now, me and my car rampage through Carmel like the British have rampaged through everywhere. Now, but despite everything that I've put my car through, and despite all we've been together, she's never slowed down. Because her brakes don't work! Roundabouts are a gamble and I'm all in every time, baby. Thank you. Again, my name is Jack Sullivan, and up next co-conspirator and sworn mortal enemy, Sarah Worf.
Carmel High School, how are we doing tonight? As Jack so kindly introduced me, I'm Sarah Worf, and I'm pretty involved in the theater and choir programs here at Carmel, but I wasn't always a choir kid. In a stroke of pure middle school idiocy, I decided I was going to take orchestra. No. As I'm sure most of you were, I was a pretty awkward middle schooler, and I happened to hold myself like both a kindergartner and a brittle old woman at the same time. Like, I would wear these hot pink bows, and I would still walk around with my backpack like, you know, but I also only ate soft foods and wore New Balance. I don't want to be too harsh on orchestra because, to be fair, out of all the performing arts, we had the coolest nickname people would use to tease us. We were the Orc-Dorks. Now, the other performing arts classes had nicknames too. The choir kids were the La La Losers, and the band kids didn't even need a nickname because being a band was insulting enough. I should also probably mention that I was never good at orchestra. My parents decided to sign me up for private lessons, thinking I'd come out as some sort of young Mozart, but I was more of Beethoven. Not the musical talent, people just thought I was deaf. I had this private that's what I do now, private orchestra coach, and she was like this early college age lady, and she was going through a riveting relationship, and so every lesson was more like a therapy session where I was the therapist. She'd be like, Brandon doesn't want me to meet his parents, is that a red flag? And I'd be like, maybe, but also I'm 12. I remember at the end of my 7th grade year, it was finally time to put myself out of my misery, and so I went up to my orchestra teacher and was like, I'm quitting. And then after class, I'm down tying my shoe, which is very degrading, by the way. I hate tying my shoes. I also didn't know how to tie them yet. You're probably like, Sarah, you were 13. I know. But he was like, you're gonna regret it. And I was like, what? Then he launches into this massive story about how some kid came back to him years after quitting middle school orchestra and told him it was the biggest regret of his life. And I'm just standing here thinking, if quitting middle school orchestra is going to be the biggest regret of my life, it is smooth sailing from here! I'll be honest, I do see a little orc in the hallway now and then. I'm like, dang, that could have been me. But it's always followed with a sigh of relief that it isn't. Thank you so much. Next up, we have the woman, the myth, the legend herself, Kate White.
Hi everybody, as Sarah has gladly said, I'm Kate White, and I'm going to start this off by saying I have many nicknames over the years. You know, I'm going to start this off by saying Camp Counselor Kate White, as you can maybe assume by, I don't know, usually it's the vibe I give off, that's what I'm going to tell. But, you know, there's Kate, Katie, Kit Kat, K. Diddy, Kanye. I don't know why. So I'll start this off by, I moved to Colorado, and I lived there for 2 years. Now, of course, I'm here now, Carmel High School. But, you know, they're very beautiful things, mountains, sky, and people are pretty running all the time. You know, I was in cross country, you know, to say the least, which was absolutely painful. But, you know, people are so worried about eating healthy, they didn't even know the state legalized marijuana. Very ironic in my eyes, of course. But anyway, you know, finally trying to bond with my fellow counselors, my first year being a counselor ever, and I was so pumped. You know, we're hiking up a 5-mile incline with a 50-pound bag of a tent, a sleeping bag, and maybe 3 apples. So, yeah. So we finally get up, and, you know, the only bonding I was doing was my feet to my tie-dye chacos, which not only were they bonded to my shoes, but they were many colors. Kind of like Skittles, you can imagine that in your eyes. So we're up there sitting around the campfire, singing some songs, you know. I don't want to go into those memories actually so fast. But 3 things were absolutely perfectly lined up to make this one of the most entertaining nights of my life. So not only was I tired, but we sat around for dinner, freeze-dried beef stew. Yeah, see, I could hold it down, but some girls really couldn't. So that's the first thing that was going on. Of course, they don't want to clean it up or anything, because gross. So second thing that went wrong was the girl with anxiety was given the responsibility of the bear whistle, because they made her feel safe. But giving a girl with anxiety a bear whistle is like giving the person with arsonistic tendencies the responsibility of the fire alarm at a movie theater. Yeah, you're just chilling and watching a good movie and maybe eating some popcorn and, oh my gosh! Anyway, that's what we on. The third step to this perfect night was going back to my tent and kind of forget how girls like to cozy up at night, and there was 10 girls in my 2-man tent. I have no idea how they fit in there, because I looked in and I kept on seeing new faces, and I was like, I don't even know who you are. Oh my gosh, but bonding, you know how it is. So I snuggled my way in there, and I'm just sweating and stuck in here, and at 3 a.m. I get out and go look at the stars and maybe cool down a little bit, and I see some of the other counselor girls trying to pull a prank, you know, trying to be funny. So the first tent they went to kind of shake and scare them a little bit was the girl with the bear whistle. And trying to remind you that she also had an anxiety disorder, so one thing led to another, and this high-pitched squeal of the bear whistle warning everyone that there's a bear, and the girls in my tent, 10 of them, were knocking into each other. Keep in mind, I couldn't see any of them. It was a cupboard, so you couldn't see the top of it, and then scream, "It's all your fault!" You know, all the girls eating beef stew and puked it out. Yeah. First rule of camping, if you didn't know, gotta clean things up where animals can find their way around. But then leaders coming out like, "Oh my gosh, guys, calm down!" Everyone's crowding around the fire pit, and I see my tent there, completely empty. I sit out my sleeping bag and go to sleep in my 1-person tent. And thank you. Next off, we have the person who pays for every one of my meals, my certified chauffeur, Liz Winters.
I'm Liz, as Kate said, and over the past couple weeks, I've had an interesting past couple weeks. So I'll start it off with April Fool's Day. We decided that it'd just be hilarious if we made my friend Seth look like he was pregnant. Yes, he's a man, and yes, he was the one that was supposed to be with child. So in order to accomplish this mission, I went to CVS and I picked up a pregnancy test, and I didn't want my parents thinking I was the one that was pregnant, so I threw the box in my glove compartment and I moved on. The next day rolls around. We do our little prank. So silly. Got a great picture out of it. If you ever want to see a pregnant man, just let me know. So spring break rolls around, and 70% of Carmel fled to Florida. I stayed here in Indiana, and the biggest body of water that I saw was a pothole full of rain. So I was lucky enough to have a couple of my friends stick around with me, and we did what people in Indiana do best. We drove around every night. That's all we did. I think I know every street in Carmel now. One night in particular, we went to an elementary school and we decided to go swinging. Mind you, it was 10 p.m. And everything was fine until we were driving out and saw a police car go right by. I turned to my friends and I go, "We're getting pulled over." Yeah, no, we're getting pulled over. I wasn't wrong, because 2 minutes after the police car started following us, yeah, no, in the moment, I felt profiled, I felt discriminated against, because you know cops and their tendency to pull over white blonde girls. A few seconds later, I hear a little tap, tap, tap on the window. "Good evening, officer." "Your headlights out." "I am so sorry." "What were you guys doing at the elementary school?" "Swinging." "What?" We were just swinging." "Just give me your license and registration." "Okay." Return my license. Go for my glove box. Remember that. I forgot about it, but open it up. pregnancy test box sitting right there. Oh, great moment for me. I was mortified. I was just standing there and I was like, oh, that's awkward. Yeah, that's gonna laugh from him, but I grabbed my registration and handed it to him. I don't know if it was my charming personality or the pregnancy test box, but somehow I got out of that situation with just a warning. So my advice to you all in the future is always bring a pregnancy test box with you when you're driving. Thank you all. Ryan Yager, everyone's favorite recreational soccer player.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Yager, except if you're my friends they call me Skid Marks, but not because of my driving. That's such a dumb joke, but I wanted to say it, I don't know. But I am going to talk to you guys about something we've all experienced at least once in our lives. Explosive diarrhea. Okay, sorry guys, moving on, okay. I am talking to you guys about road trips though, right? My family and I went on a road trip to South Carolina last week. And it's a drive we've done many, many times. There's some more memorable ones. Sometimes my siblings and I try to strangle each other with our seatbelts. Other times my grandma throws up the McDonald's we just bought. Okay, that one was actually pretty funny because I'm in the back seat enjoying my McNuggets and she's McVomiting up in the front seat. She was not loving it. Now, about halfway through the drive, we stopped for a potty break in a gas station in Tennessee. Well, I was in for a very special surprise because when I went to the bathroom, I saw an older man go to the stall. I went to the urinal. And as I was about to go to the bathroom, I hear, I mean, he was either trying to poo or remember where he parked. Either way, it was hard to listen to. Now, back out on the road, there's a lot of roadkill when you drive 10 hours. I mean, you'd think Stevie Wonder drove through a zoo. I mean, there was a lot of dead animals. Moving on. On the topic of Tennessee, when I was writing my stand-up, I realized how hard it is to spell. I mean, there's two of everything. 2 N's, 2 S's, 2 genders. I'm kidding, guys, come on. We also passed, thank you for laughing at that joke. Out on the road, you also pass a lot of junkyards. I mean, now those have everything. Things that never really made it anywhere, you know, broken cars, broken furniture, Taylor Lautner. Now, on every road trip, there's that guy who questions the GPS. I don't think that's right. I could have got us there faster. No, you couldn't have, okay? You guys know the show, Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? All right, maybe you are. Are you smarter than a GPS? No, you're not smarter than a GPS. Now, okay, the South can be a pretty crazy place. But come on, where else can you get a hat like this? I mean, I feel the urge to get in the truck, blast terrible music, and be a jerk to everyone else out on the road. Now to end on a very happy note about that last election. Thank you guys, thank you. All right, next up is Aaron Young, or as I like to call him, Pooh Doll.
For your information, no one calls me Pooh Doll. That's besides the point. When I was 7, and I went with my brother, to go see his brother at his grad party. And it was a great time. There was great music, great games, great people. And I was playing on a scooter. And I was, I thought I was in the Indianapolis 500. And then I fell. There was a little knob at the bottom of the scooter, and it went into the back of my knee. Now, I was a very creative, special, and dramatic kid. And so I didn't put 2 and 2 together that just because I fell, that's why there was a hole in my knee. So like any kid would do, I ran inside yelling, I was shot! I was shot! My mom comes rushing over to me like, oh my God, Aaron, what happened? What happened? I tell her, I was shot. She looks at me, and she obviously knows I wasn't shot. But she rushes me into the car knowing that I'll probably need to go to the hospital. She takes me to emergency care. We walk up to the door to see it was closed. Now, it's funny, because you really don't see emergency care places being closed. That's like seeing Chick-fil-A being open on Sundays. But all I remember is that through that entire car ride, I was in so much pain. Almost as much pain as the time I was bullied. God, 4th graders suck. When I was in 4th grade, I got kicked out of the reading group by my friends just because of one little thing. I know what you're thinking, and no, it was not because of my reading capability. It was all because of a freaking red sweatshirt. You know, I thought that the red sweatshirt was a good call, because it's good enough for Elmo. It's obviously good enough for me. Thank you guys very much. Next on stage. Next up on stage is my dear friend, Intermission.
We'll take about a 10-minute intermission for just a little break.